I've built a lot of decks since I started playing EDH, and as expected, not all of them panned out exactly the way I wanted, so I inevitably scrapped them for parts for other decks. My hope with this video is that you can take some of the lessons I've learned along the way and not make the same mistakes yourself. So let's hop right in. These are 5 commanders I've scrapped for parts. And these are in no particular order, by the way. I just saved the one that hurt me the most for last. Coming in at number 5 is Nekusar the Mindraiser. I built him pretty early in my EDH career and thought I was just the most clever player. Punishing people for drawing cards? What a cool, creative, unique deck. I thought I was extra clever for running Phyresis and Glistening Oil and all of the wheels, but I was naive. Everyone and their mother and their mother's mother has played against Nekusar, knows all about the infect combos, and pretty much just no one wanted to play against it. I was the archenemy from the get-go and usually the first one out. So I got my few anticlimactic, gross feeling wins and took it apart. And I think the takeaway here is to put some real thought into whether or not your commander will make you the archenemy before you even start the game. And if that's your goal, make sure your deck can handle it. 4 is Nevinyrral Urborg Tyrant. I built him as a powerful combo deck where the main goal was to make unlimited zombies with Gravecrawler, Phyrexian Altar, and Nevinyrral's ETB. But good old Larry Niven has a stigma duct taped to his forehead. The second you sit down at the table, no matter how much you try to explain what your goal is, everyone just assumes you're running board wipe theme and targets you. But that's really only half the lesson. This was a powerful combo deck, but the way I built it did not function particularly well outside of those combos, and the entire game plan was just tutoring and digging for those specific combo pieces. Then, when it did work, it just felt anticlimactic and gross. So I think the takeaway for this one is to put some thought into the gameplay of your deck and whether or not it actually sounds fun to you. There's nothing wrong with building a combo deck if that's how you enjoy playing the game, but your deck also needs to function outside of those combos. I think I just got so excited over the combo and the interesting card interaction that I was completely blind to the fact that the deck just dirtled most of the time while being constantly targeted over the assumption that I was playing a board wipe deck. Number 3 is Olivia Crimson Bride. She's a powerful commander who can reanimate giant threats the turn she comes in. I built her as an extra combats reanimator deck, using cards like Portraiser in combination with massive threats like Archon of Cruelty. The problem is that she's kind of narrow in what she can accomplish, and she's also kind of a glass cannon. She either popped off and won the game really early, feeling kind of gross, did nothing the whole time, or in a worst case scenario, eliminated one player at the table and then ran out of gas. So the takeaway here is to pay attention to how your commander plays in what's supposed to be a social format. This is definitely a personal preference, but eliminating one player right out of the gate, forcing them to sit there and wait, sometimes up to an hour for another game, just felt really mean. Didn't feel particularly good. Now if you've made it this far, hopefully that means you're enjoying the video, and if that's the case, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below. I'm just getting started on this channel and every little bit helps a ton. Number 2 is Toxrill the Corrosive. I tried so hard to get Toxrill to work as a commander. I pulled him in a draft and thought he seemed really powerful and fun, but this is the one that made me swear off of high CMC commanders. I put as much ramp as I could in Dimir, ran tons of cheap protection, all the free counter spells, the whole 9 yards, but regardless of what I did, regardless of how perfect my hand was, in the 10 or so games I played, he never even once survived an entire turn rotation. He was such a large threat, everyone at the table pulled all of their resources into making sure he did not exist. And the problem with being 7 CMC is that he got really difficult to cast really fast. So the takeaway here is that high CMC legendaries are usually best reserved for the 99 in my personal experience. And while I did technically scrap him as a commander, I actually took the list, modified it, and converted it into a Sakashima Tavesh Zot build, where the goal is to reanimate threats like Toxrill and copy them with Sakashima in the same turn. Much more difficult to deal with. I still play this deck at higher power tables, and it is a ton of fun. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see a deck tech for this one. And finally, in the number 1 slot, and the one that hurt me the most to take apart, Chulane, Teller of Tales. I know, I can hear you all groaning through the monitors. You can stop now, just hear me out for a second. I never actually cast my commander. I just liked the colors. This was my very first commander deck I ever built by myself, and I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't realize the commander was supposed to be central to the strategy. That part just did not click with me coming from standard, and I hadn't played Magic in almost 7 years. I just remembered really liking the Bant control list I played back around the original Innistrad block. I just really wanted to make a fun Bant cheat the Eldrazi out list. Unfortunately, Chulane makes you the insta arch enemy, and because of this, I did try swapping out commanders a couple times. Feldegriff made the deck seem less threatening, and Rafik of the Many synergized pretty well with the big threat strategy. But overall, there were just too many problems with this deck. As my first commander build, it wasn't focused at all. I literally just packed it full of all of the most fun cards I could find without any synergy whatsoever. And while the big threat strategy definitely can work, I decided to move on to different builds that were more fun for me that needed the parts. So I think the takeaway here is the most obvious one of all. Build your commander deck to synergize around your commander. Otherwise, you're gonna have an unfocused, bad time. And that about sums it up. Let me know in the comments down below which commanders you've scrapped for parts, and why. And if you like these kinds of videos, or just Magic content in general, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below. And if you wanna come hang out and talk Magic, I just started a brand new Discord server for this YouTube channel. Link in the description. Until next time, I hope you have a magical The Gathering day.